Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, and welcome. This is Gary here for Bizarre Brain Comics. This is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and the creators, and then examine the stories and the art. Mm-hmm. And today we're going to take a look at this book right here from Marvel Comics. It's Wolverine, Blood Hungry. And take a look here inside the big book of knowledge. Okay. Of course, Wolverine is a Marvel character, a member of the X-Men, the Uncanny X-Men, and of course he was originally introduced as a one-off villain for the Hulk in a story in the early 70s. I've forgotten what issue now. And he made a few other appearances, and then was adopted into the new Uncanny X-Men. In, what was it, 79, 80, something like that? And he has been a fan favorite ever since. And he's probably one of my favorite X-Men characters. And Wolverine, this story was first appeared in. We're gonna just cover part of it because it's reprinted as a graphic novel. Is a Wolverine story from Marvel Comics Presents, number 85 through correction. Yeah, that's right, 85 through 87 in 1991. And it's been collected as a graphic novel. And it's written by Peter David and drawn by Sam Keith. And Peter David is born in 1956, an American writer, novelist, and comics and TV and film. And he had an award-winning 12-year run on The Incredible Hulk. Plus, he's worked on Young Justice, Spider-Man, and a host of others. He wrote both Star Trek comics and novels such as Imzadi, and he created the Star Trek New Frontier series. That's a series of novels, not TV series. His first professional writing job was covering the World Science Fiction Convention for the Philadelphia Bulletin. And although a journalist, he turned to fiction, and he worked in publishing for Playboy Books. Then he worked in Marvel Comics sales department, and eventually he sold a Spider-Man story in 1985. And he's been doing comics and novels ever since, and is a top, very top fan favorite comics writer. He has even written, I know of at least one Incredible Hulk novel because I've got it. That's the only one I could think of. He may have written more. I think he wrote some Spider-Man novels too. And Sam Keith is an artist. He was born in 1963. He's an American comic artist and writer and creator of The Max and Zero Girl. And he got started by drawing a backup story at Comico at the age of 17. All about 17. And he became known in 84 as an inker on Matt Wagner's Mage, and later the Fish Police. I never cared for the Fish Police. I was never interested in the Mage. And later he penciled a Sandman story arc for DC. And I was never a big fan of the Sandman, at least not the Neil Gaiman version of Sandman. So, let us delve into an active action adventure with Wolverine. He's the best at what he does, and what he does isn't very nice. Okay, Wolverine, Blood Hungry. Here you see here's the reprint graphic novel, and and here is a 18, I'll get it yet, 2017 reprint for a True Believers series from 2017. This is the one we're going to look at just because it's easier to deal with than the stiffer graphic novel version. This is okay, and as I said, it's drawn by Sam Keith. And you can see he has an unusual style, and for me is kind of somewhat appealing and yet not. It's kind of fits into that uncanny valley because it's close to realism, but not quite. And I think it's a style that works for some things and not for others. I think it kind of works for this story, but I don't think it would work for just anything. And of course, since he created the Max, it works for the Max. Actually, briefly met him once at a comic shop when he was doing a signing. This is probably about the time he was doing this, I think, and I can't remember what I asked him and what he said. So it is just an unusual stylization for his artwork, because you can't say that it's realistic. He probably can do, as you can see, he can do it, but it's a desired stylization. It's looks like it might be Bill Sienkiewicz's influence in his art style. I don't know. His claws on Wolverine are a little bit, as some artists do, make his claws unrealistically long, and usually long, because remember, those claws have to fit into his forearms behind the wrist joints, so that the claws can't be any longer than his forearms. And these look just a couple inches too long, by my reckoning. Okay, let's take a little look. I'll kind of go briefly. He has a small but interesting establishing shot. Small but perfectly readable establishing shot. And you just see this figure here. It's obviously on the boat in shadow, playing cards with somebody on the boat. And he's not happy because the guy's cheating. Here you can see in this cheating character's face, the stylization. Of course, it kind of makes me think a little bit of Plastic Man. Woozy Winks from Plastic Man. And a lot of little small characters, panels, but it's some decent storytelling there, because you can see them getting closer and closer and grimmer, and so that you can, for the most part, you can plainly read what's going on. Other times, not so much. Then there's a sudden scene change to this extreme close-up as he's pulling back, as it's kind of mirroring here, where you or further back and get closer and closer and closer in on this character's mouth and teeth. And then it starts off on this close-in tight shot of this wolf's mouth and teeth, and then kind of pulls back, and we see farther, and then, was that him? No, that's Wolverine. You can see, and Wolverine is hunting, and this wolf is hunting this deer. But Wolverine is different. He's exercising his senses, his wild side, but he's not out to harm anything. He just wanted to get up and touch the wolf without the wolf knowing about it. So wolf is protective, but he sees he's not a threat. He can be, but I'm not. So he cuts up the kill, the wolf's kill. Wolves don't normally hunt solo, so this is some kind of lone wolf, and Wolverine is known as a lone wolf, and he's willing to share his kill with Wolverine. And his animalistic nature, he has no problem eating raw meat and sleeping there next to the wolf in full safety, next to the wolf and his kill. But something, this is just the introduction, first scent, something wakes him up. He's just kind of like Tarzan out in the woods all by himself. And this is in Madripoor, the fictitious Marvel version of Singapore. It's a city-state. And here we see, this lady in bed. What's going on? And someone's sneaking up, and it's Wolverine. And they know each other. This is Tiger. He catches the dagger she throws at him. Now here you see a distinct change. While his male figures tend to be exaggerated almost to the point of grotesqueness, his female characters and figures are extremely lovely and exaggerated to the opposite. Instead of exaggerated to the point of grotesqueness, they are exaggerated to the point of extreme loveliness. And they're talking, and she wants Wolverine to go to this Chinese Colonel Koi's place to check it out, because there's something going on. He cuts a whiff, a scent, something's going on. He doesn't know what. He can't place it. And while they have a little nookie time, and she wants him to go to this general's place because there's something going on. It's bringing in something with some kind of drug deal, and someone from out of town has come in. She doesn't know who or what, and wants to find out about it. And here we see that figure, mysterious figure from the beginning, meeting up with somebody and says, "Oh yes, well, I'm representing General Koi. Come with me." And they shake hands, and this is the first hint we get of something real unusual. This very mechanical looking hand. And it's covered in blood. I wonder why. And then we get the extreme close up on that guy's face again. And here we go with the splash page for the second part. Because remember, this was originally published in Marvel Comics Presents, which was a bi-weekly anthology title. And so they would have a continuing storylines for some characters for a period of time, and they had would have 3 or 4 different stories in each issue. So here we have Chunk. He's climbing up we see it's a nice story. It gives you interest in what's going on. Well, he's using his claws, sinking them into this stone or concrete wall to climb up this wall at General Koi's estate. And here are all the guards completely oblivious. And at General Koi's place, this mysterious figure is being introduced. Some nice detail, showing a little bit about the characters. Nice big plush office but with this and very unusual double ram skulls as centerpiece on his desk. And they're talking about business. So, meanwhile, Wolverine, this is when we actually find out a little bit about Wolverine's and Tiger. How she wanted him to go check this thing out. After their little nookie. So he's sneaking in. Ah, kitty cat spotted him. Shh, be quiet, kitty. Don't tell anybody. Here's the guards. And it's kind of funny here. Have the guards' names are Rimmer and Lister. And they're friends. Kind of joking there. That's kind of an inside joke in case you don't happen to be aware of the British science fiction comedy series of Red Dwarf. Rimmer and Lister were the two main characters. And then there was the cat. See, the cat. So here we see this mysterious figure finally taking his coat off, and you see this really grotesque looking cyborg type character. And Wolverine can look, as I said, exaggerated to the point of grotesqueness. And see, Wolverine is just exaggerated even more than he was over here. He's tensing up. Something's about to happen. What's going on? He's about to be discovered. Tulk distracts that guard. Something's about to happen, as he says here. It smells like, boom, trouble. And these hands come smashing through the wooden door, grabbing Wolverine by the throat, followed by this huge hulking cyborg figure. And they're smashing and crashing, and the actual details is kind of hard to follow. And there we go. Cyber, finally. Because they are old enemies. I thought you were dead, Logan. No, he wasn't dead. This is after all the X-Men were supposedly dead for a while. And obviously, I personally, I know little to nothing about Cyber. And he was there to make some kind of deal to bring in either import or export some kind of special mind-controlling drug. It's very addictive. And Tiger, while involved in the crime and underworld in Madripoor, she does not deal with drugs. And that's why she wanted Wolverine to come check things out. And this is somebody he knows, an old enemy, obviously. I don't know anything about him. And they just go into town, and Cyber is just slicing and dicing Wolverine up. So he's bleeding all over the place. Wolverine's got to get away, come back and fight another day. And yep. The guard says, "Oh, there's blood all over the place." Yeah, somebody bled. Then here we have the next chapter. And Wolverine is in pain again, climbing. I think he's climbing down. Oh yeah, here it goes. Actually the way this image reads should probably be reversed because this reads backwards. It reads more like he's climbing down the cliff rather than going up the cliff. Well, it clearly indicates he's supposed to be going up the cliff. Now, more flashback. Not flashback. Hey, Cyber goes to go see Tiger. And you can see what I said. Exaggerated. The female figure is exaggerated to the other extreme. She is extremely sexy and lovely. But he has this nice intricate details, like in her stockings and gloves, as well as this little bauble on the table. Just here's Cyber here to check out some business with Tiger. And Wolverine, it's taken a little while for him to heal. His healing factor can only go so fast. It's insanely fast as it is already. But it's got to like put his guts back in. And, you know, he must have been injected with some of that crazy hallucinogen. And he's having a flashback to an event that never happened. Where he's in the 50s at a drive-in cafe, talking to with this lovely little teeny bopper. He's so cool, snaps his fingers, all the girls go gaga over him. He tells them to get away, and they do. And he wants her, but she doesn't really want him. She thinks he's cool, but she's not interested in him. It's the other guy. What other guy? And see again here. It's kind of like almost pinup look. I would say, except for her blonde hair, I would say she looks a lot like Betty Page. And no, it's him. It's the other guy, the gym teacher, Mr. Cyber. Gym teacher. And then Wolverine starts to come back to himself. And here we are back with Tiger and Cyber as they're talking a little bit about business. And he's a little bit leery about him. Understandably so. And that is where we come to an end. The end. I'm not going to cover the entire graphic novel. And these are the original covers that this part of the story was featured in Marvel Comics Presents. And that's all we're going to cover about Wolverine. Blood hungry. And please like, share, subscribe. Thank you for joining me. And feel free to leave a comment. I appreciate it. And remember, comics are art. Snicked.